in my background and how what I've always done with IT is I've always tried to make things easier. Find the easiest way for a non-technical savvy person, just trying to make their job easier, make their task easier, make them be able to do things easier. And all these different platforms, and I probably looked at I had 5 demos. I really did my due diligence, and I'm like, Happeo is going to be easy. Like any company, no one likes change. No one likes to see things differently. But if they can see a platform where things are so much easier and you're able to accomplish the same goal, but in a beautiful graphic sense, it's eye candy. Happeo is like eye candy. You put that on the screen, you got flashing here, you got little, animated GIFs here, you've got, your channels going back and forth. It's eye catching. And I think that it's really just when they see that and they, can start to use it and see how easy it is, it makes a win-win for everyone. My name is Tina Jacobs. I'm the IT manager here for EPT. I came to EPT a little over a year ago because they needed basically a technology person to pull a lot of systems together and make their technology a little bit easier for their providers. So I came on board. I have an IT background. I have a cloud background. So I've done a lot of different types of IT tracks, but I do find that I love working with intranet and cloud-based systems. So I kind of was a good fit for me here. And I've done a lot since I've been here in a year. EPT is the first medical group working with doctors that I've ever worked for. And I know that their schedule is very busy. Very remote. We basically staff 7 hospitals in this area. What we do here is we staff and we support the providers for the 7 Sentara hospitals. We named our Happeo Matrix. Matrix ended up being that, and I worked with a graphic designer. We private branded it. We got new banners and tied in our logo and our colors. And I think it just pops. It's so great compared to what we had before because it's exciting. You want technology to be easy, but you want it to be exciting and not boring either. When I came here, that was a big pain point for them. They didn't have a real central source of internal communications. There's the board and there's meetings and things like that. But as far as a system to tie everyone together and keep everyone on the same page and in the loop, you basically resorted to email. And as we know, it's really not the place to advertise all when you're trying to get a point across or a training or, a new development or whatever. So they had an intranet in place, but it was never used. And it was very old school. I couldn't find anything based on WordPress. So it was just, a little bit dated and they needed a new system. So they came to me and I'd only been here a couple months and they said, what can we do about our intranet? And, it's very costly. It breaks down a lot. It's Google plugins. It never works, everything like that. So I went out and I did my due diligence and I researched several vendors and Happeo came to the forefront really quick because in my mind, I saw it being a very easy technology tool that can tie the whole group together very easily. And that's what we want we want efficiency because they're very busy. Their doctors are very, very busy. They want to be able to go on Happeo and they can go in there and find docs and Google Drives and we have different channels. We have a kudos channel now for all the accolades that they get from patients. Because it was based on Google, that to me was a seller just because of that reason, because I knew the security in on Google business account was so secure. I knew that would play right into what we already had, which is what we needed. So there's a lot of good things that have come out of it, but more importantly, it is has become our central source backbone for our communications. And before we were using all of those types of tools on spreadsheets. So you can only imagine the frustration level of trying to keep a spreadsheet updated, where now Google is our Google database, which I am the admin on our Google database for our users. And then when that change is made, it propagates over to Matrix. And then, when we're using it, you've got the address there, their phone number update, whatever, when we went through and did a really big audit, making sure everyone's information was correct. And it was, and then, cleaned all that up and then it rolled out into Matrix. And now we have a great database of all of our providers. I do watch the analytics, and every month our numbers go up on usage, which is what we want. You know, we want everyone to be using it. And then the end goal being everyone being on it all the time. It's your number one place you go every day. It's where you go for your news, where you go for your information, where you go for updates. Whatever we can put there now, we're putting there. We needed that central communication. So when there's an important announcement, that we can roll that out to the entire company. And so we're very channel driven because we're very group driven. So we have channels for staff, we have channels for the MDs, we have channels for the board of directors, we have channels for the partners. We have channels all the way down, and we went through a very long meeting on getting those groups and rights correct. I think if there was the biggest challenge, but the best thing that's come out of this is being able to clean up our groups in Google on who has rights to what. And, you know, Happeo made that happen for us, because had we not had that, sometimes you don't know who has access to what, but this was so rights driven that it really helped us clean up a lot of our internal processes as well. Like for Halloween, we did a big, you know, staff meeting. We did Halloween dress up. We did a big picture, and you know, the providers like to see that kind of information. And I will say, you know, this is a brand new building for us. It's a brand new location. We got a brand new intranet. There's a lot of things that have really come to fruition that we didn't have a year ago. And when we were in our old location, we were so siloed out as a team, as a company. Like the providers would have meetings and you'd never see them. I mean, it was now internally, we're so much grouped together. And I think a big part of that is the Happeo platform, because they're just talking about it. It's communication. Happio's ability for the channels and the posting and the collaboration, and in the back of my mind, there was so many email alls that were going every day, and I'd come into 100 emails of just back and forth, you know, great job, which is not the place for it. So with Happeo, that's really changed everything for us. And it's nothing I've ever used before, being able to target a specific group of users and to communicate with that group instantly. I mean, that to me is such great technology. ER physicians are on the floor, they're in the hospitals, they're not on their computers. To me, one of the top features of Happeo was having that really awesome mobile app for communication, because they need to be notified when something important goes out. Well, we allowed for a long onboarding process simply because I have a lot of other hats here with the IT side that I do, and I wanted to make sure I had enough time and, you know, to be able to pour into it and learn and figure out the best way that it could work for us. So we signed, and with COVID happening, it just turned out to be a beautiful thing, because it was a critical point where we needed this tool, and we needed to be able to have the Google Meets and all the different things and tie into it. For me, as an administrator, it was just the most simple system to roll out I have ever worked on. So that was really a great thing as well, to be able to implement a system and not have it take so much time. And it just was very little learning curve for me. It was great. COVID's really changed a lot of industries, a lot of ways people have to communicate and do technology, do their job. Every company needs this internal communication backbone. You're still a company in this great little cloud, and then you can just, your little Google services just all come off of your intranet. I can play Matrix all day. You know, it's the first thing that comes up on my computer every day, and I just love it.